The Constitution of India, Preamble. We, the people of India, having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic and to secure to all its citizens justice, social, economic and political, liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith and worship, equality of status and of opportunity, and to promote among them all fraternity, assuring the dignity of the individual and the unity and integrity of the nation. In our Constituent Assembly, this 26th day of November 1949, do hereby adopt, enact and give to ourselves this Constitution.
Hi children, today I am going to begin the session by saying a quote said by Buddha. What we practice daily is what the life build on. Practice peace, kindness and love. By saying these words, I begin the session by doing the recap. So in the previous class, we have studied about kingdom fungi. The general features related to kingdom fungi, we understood that it is eukaryotic, unicellular, especially yeast is a unicellular organism, and the remaining or the rest of the fungi are multicellular. They are without chlorophyll, they are heterotrophic in nature, and their body is called mycelium, and a part of mycelium is called hyphae, and the hyphae may be septate or septate. You can see these are the, already you may be knowing these are the fungus, and already we understood what is mycelium, what is hyphae, what is septate and what is aseptate. And next we came to know that in many fungus there is a multinucleate condition, and that is called cenocytic, and the cell wall is made up of chitin and polysaccharide, and they are mainly the decomposers. And next thing we understood that they are saprophytic, parasitic, as well as they are having a symbiotic association with algae, that is called lichen, and they are having a symbiotic association with the roots of higher plants, and that is called mycorrhiza. And then we understood the reproduction taking place in fungi. It is by three methods: vegetative reproduction, where fragmentation, fission and budding are the most important method, and asexual reproduction is taken by the production of spores such as conidia, zoospores and sporangiospores. And in the case of sexual reproduction, we understood that they are also producing spores like oospores, ascospores, basidiospores, etc. And in case of sexual reproduction, all these spores are produced in a specialized spore bearing structure called fruiting bodies. And here we understood about reproduction in yeast as well as the asexual reproduction, that is fission. And then here you can see how the zoospores are produced, how the sporangiophores are there on the top of sporangiophore, sporangium is there and sporangium spores are present there. And then related to the sexual reproduction also we came to know that basidiospores, ascospores, zygospores, all these are the spores produced there by the fungus. Then in case of sexual reproduction, it is taking place in three steps: plasmogamy, karyogamy as well as meiosis. And in certain fungi, dikaryotic stages are taking place, and what is dikaryotic stage? We can say that two separate nuclei will be existing in a cell, and that is called dikaryon, and the stage is called dikaryotic stage or dikaryophase. And then third step is meiosis, and this is the generalized life cycle of dikaryotic fungi. Already we understood about it in the previous class. And then we understood that kingdom fungi is classified into Phycomycetes, Ascomycetes, Basidiomycetes and Deuteromycetes. Phycomycetes In case of these fungi, the mycelium is aseptate as well as cynocytic. Asexual reproduction is taking place by motile zoospore as well as non-motile aplanospore, and these spores are endogenous and they are produced in sporangium, that is sac-like structure. And next one, we understood that the gametes are maybe similar in morphology and they are called isogamous, and the process is called isogamy. Dissimilar gametes are also seen and it is called anisogamous or oogamous, and the process is called anisogamy or oogamy. You can see here, which is very important. And then we understood about the certain fungi related to Phycomycetes, isn't it? This is the structure of Rhizopus, this is the structure of Mucor, and related to Ascomycetes we understood that it is also known as sac fungi, and yeast, which is a unicellular fungi which is also called Saccharomyces, is coming in Ascomycetes. And here a sexual reproduction is taking by the production of conidia, and sexual reproduction is taking place by the production of ascospore in a sac-like asci which is endogenous. And next we understood that asci, they are arranged on the fruiting bodies called ascocarps, and the example is Aspergillus, Claviceps, Neurospora. All these are the examples of Ascomycete fungi. And then later on we understood about Basidiomycetes, where mycelium is branched and septate, and here asexual spores are not found, and vegetative reproduction is taking place by fragmentation, and in the case of sex organs they are absent in them. Therefore, sexual reproduction is by the fusion of two somatic or vegetative cell, and already I told you about dikaryon, which is giving rise to a club shaped structure called basidium. And then karyogamy and meiosis is taking place in the basidium itself, resulting in the production of 4 basidiocarp, and these basidia, they are arranged on the fruiting body called basidiocarp. Example is agaricus, then astilago, isn't it, astilago, and next one is Puccinia. So these are the example of Basidiomycetes. And then we understood that Basidiomycetes, some are saprophytes or parasite and some are decomposers, isn't it. Next one related to Deuteromycetes, they are known as imperfect fungi, and as they are imperfect fungi, as they do not have asexual or vegetative phase, they are having asexual and vegetative phase known, but they do not have a sexual or perfect stage. Therefore, they are known as imperfect fungi. That means sexual stage is absent in them. So, asexual or vegetative phase only is known in them, and mycelium is septate as well as branched, and the reproduction is taking place in Deuteromycetes is through production of asexual spores called conidia. Now, so this is about the recap of the previous class. Now we are going to learn and understand about kingdom Plantae, kingdom Animalia, the general features, because related to kingdom Plantae we will be studying in deep in the previous the next class, and as well as related to kingdom Animalia you are going to study in zoology. And then later on we will be understanding and learning about the virus as well as viroids as well as lichens. So, here we begin with the class related to kingdom Plantae. They are multicellular chlorophyll containing autotrophic organism. Already we know that what is autotrophic as well as multicellular, and the plants are chlorophyll bearing organisms. They have cellulose cell wall. The cell wall is made up of cellulose, and kingdom Plantae includes algae, bryophyte, pteridophytes, gymnosperms and angiosperms. Related to all these classes of Plantae, we are going to study and understand in the next upcoming chapters. Now, the life cycle of the plant has two distinct phases. In the life cycle of plant, it is having two distinct stages. Number one is diploid sporophytic phase, and the second stage is haploid gametophytic phase. So, the sporophytic phase, that means from the name itself we can say spore bearing stage is there in the plant life cycle, and it is diploid, and the next stage is gametophytic phase, that is gamete producing stage is taking place in the life cycle of the plant, and these gametes they are haploid. So, there are two distinct phases in the life cycle of plant. Number one, diploid sporophytic phase, and number two, haploid gametophytic phase. Now, both the phases alternate with each other. These two phases they alternate with each other, isn't it? If gametophytic phase is coming first, surely next the sporophytic phase will be coming, and later on again we can see gametophytic phase. So, like this alternation of generation we can find in the life cycle of plants. The phenomenon is called alternation of generation. As these two phases they alternate with each other in the life cycle of plant, surely the phenomenon related to these stages in life cycle is called alternation of generation. Next, you can see related to kingdom Animalia. They are also multicellular, heterotrophic as well as eukaryotes, and here the cell is without cell wall. That is the difference between plant cell and animal cell. In the case of plant cell, we know that cell wall is present there and it is made up of cellulose. In the case of animal cell, the cell wall is absent. They lack chlorophyll. That is another difference between plant cell and animal cell. And next difference is mode of nutrition is holozoic. They swallow the food, and the reserve food is in the form of glycogen or fat. In the case of Animalia or in the case of animals, the reserve food material is in the form of glycogen or it will be in the form of fat. This is important. And the reproduction is by copulation of male and female. That is, male and female they will be fusing together. The male gamete and the female gamete will be fusing together and a new organism is produced there. That is related to kingdom Animalia, and the detail related to kingdom Animalia, as I told you, you will be studying in zoology. Now, the next topic is related to virus. Virus are non-cellular organism. They are non-cellular, that means they do not have cell. They are smaller than bacteria and can pass through filter. In the filtering process, the bacteria and virus, when they are filtered, bacteria will be passing through that is, the bacteria will not be able to pass through the filter, but the virus they are able to pass through the filter as they are smaller than bacteria. The name virus means venom or poison. The name virus, it is means venom or poison. Virus did not find a place in the classification since they are not truly living. In the 5 kingdom classification given by R.H. Whitaker, there virus is not being placed in any kingdom, or it is not been given any separate kingdom also, because they are not truly living. They are inert outside. When they are outside the body of an organism, they are inert in their form. They are obligate parasites. They are parasites, and virus have the features of both living and non-living thing. That is, virus when it is outside, it is a non-living thing, but when it get inside the body of an organism, it will work on the genetic mechanism of the organism, isn't it? Therefore, it is a living thing. So, we can say that virus is having both the features, living thing as well as non-living thing. Now, resemblance with a living thing, we can say they have their own genetic material. In the case of virus, they have their own genetic material in the form of DNA or RNA, and the reproduction using the metabolic machineries of the host cell is seen in virus. When they enters into the living body of an organism, they start to reproduce. And how they are reproducing? By using the metabolic mechanism of the host cell. That's why they are called as living thing. Now, related with the non-living thing, they lack cellular structure. They don't have cell of their own. Number 2, they lack enzyme system. They don't have enzyme system as they don't have cell, and they do not have their own metabolic activities. They don't have, as they don't have cell, surely they don't have any metabolism by their own, of their own. They do not respire, that means they don't have respiratory system. As they don't have cell, they are non-living thing outside the body of an organism. Since virus have the features of both living and non-living thing, they are said to be biologist puzzle. Therefore, it is a virus is a puzzle for the scientific world, because scientific world is not able to differentiate whether virus is living thing or it is a non-living thing. Therefore, virus became a puzzle for the scientific world. Now, next one is related to the structure of virus. A virus is a nucleoprotein. What is a virus? It is a nucleoprotein, and it consists of a protein coat called capsid and the genetic material DNA or RNA. The virus is a nucleoprotein and it consists of a protein coat called capsid, as well as it is having a genetic material in the form of DNA or RNA. And what is capsid? We can say capsid, it is a protein coat and it is made of small subunits called capsomers. Capsid is a protein coat and it is made up of small subunits called capsomers. And what is the function of capsomers? Capsomers protects the nucleic acid. Nucleic acid are in the form of DNA or RNA, and this nucleic acid is being protected by capsomers, which are the small subunits of capsid, isn't it? Now, the capsomers are arranged in helical or polyhedral geometric forms. We can see the capsomers in the form of helical or polyhedral geometric forms. You can see here the structure of virus. And the second topic which we are going to study is about bacteriophage. Here you can see the structure of virus, that is tobacco mosaic virus TMV, as well as human immunodeficiency virus, that is HIV. This is the structure of virus, and in this we can see this is the protein coat, isn't it? And that protein coat is called capsid, as well as, and you can see the genetic material is here, it is RNA. Here also you can see the genetic material is RNA, and it is having an envelope that is made up of protein, isn't it? And that protein envelope is called capsid, and the capsid is made up of capsomers, and inside it you can see the genetic material, that is RNA. So, this is the structure of virus, and the second topic which you are going to study is related to bacteriophage, and here also it is a type of virus. Bacteriophage is a type of virus, and here also you can see capsid is the protein coat. You can see there, instead of cell wall they have protein coat, that is called capsid, and inside the capsid you can see the DNA genetic material is present there. It is helical in structure. This is helical in structure, isn't it? So, this is the structure of virus as well as bacteriophage. Now, genetic material in the virus. The genetic material in the virus is either RNA or DNA. Already just now we understood about it. And the virus that infect plants have single stranded RNA. That means in the plant, if the infection is being done by virus, that virus will be having a single stranded RNA as genetic material. And in the case of animal viruses, it may be having either single or double stranded RNA or double stranded DNA. But in the case of the viruses which are infecting the animals, those viruses will be having the genetic material either single or double stranded RNA or double stranded DNA. Next is related to bacteriophages. Already we came to know about the structure of bacteriophage. And what is bacteriophage? It is the viruses which infect the bacteria. The viruses, bacteriophages are also viruses, and these viruses, they will infect, they cause infection to bacteria. These viruses are called bacteriophages, and they have double stranded DNA as genetic material. In them the genetic material will be double stranded DNA. Now related to the diseases caused by viruses. In human being, the diseases which are caused by viruses are mumps, smallpox, influenza, AIDS. As well as in case of plants, the symptoms related to the diseases caused by viruses, they are mosaic formation, leaf rolling and curling, dwarfing and stunted growth. In case of plant, the symptoms which are seen there on the plant body related to the diseases caused by virus, they are mosaic formation. Here you can see this is the mosaic formation on the leaf of plant. And number 2 is been said about leaf rolling and curling. Here you can see leaf rolling is taking place and curling is taking place. And the next one is dwarfing and stunted growth. That means this is the dwarfing and stunted growth. That means here you can see the growth of the stem or the leaf is not taking place there. The plant is stunted and it is short. So this is the diseases caused by the viruses in case of plants. Now the next is related to viroid. These viroid, they are smaller than virus. Already we understood that virus are smaller than bacteria, and now we have understood that smaller than virus there is also one more microorganism, and that is viroid, and they cause potato spindle tuber disease in potato plants. This is the name of the disease, that is potato spindle tuber disease, and that disease is taking place in potato plant. And the genetic material in the viroid is free RNA without surrounded by any nucleoprotein coat. In the case of virus, we studied that there is a nucleoprotein coat called capsid, but in the case of viroid there is no nucleoprotein coat, and the genetic material present in the viroid is free RNA, and the RNA present in the viroid has low molecular weight. The molecular weight of RNA present in the viroid, it is low in weight. You can see these are the structure of viroids. Now next topic is related to lichen. Lichen are symbiotic association between algae and fungi. So what are lichen? Lichen are symbiotic association between algae and fungi. That is, here mutually the algae as well as fungi, they are benefited with each other. Here you can see the fungal component is called as mycobiont, and the algal component is called phycobiont. So algae is to phycobiont and fungus is to mycobiont, and the phycobiont, that is algae, performs the following functions. The first function related to the algae is synthesize organic food by photosynthesis. So by doing photosynthesis, the phycobiont on algae, it will be synthesizing the food, and that food will be consumed by the fungus, and it is also helping to fix nitrogen, and we know that nitrogen is very important component for the plant. And next one, or we can say for the lichen, and here you can see the figure showing algal and fungal component. Here you can see this is fungal component, and this is the green part which you can see here is the algal component, or you can see here in this case this is algal cell and this one is the fungal cell. So fungal, what it is doing, it is protecting the algae. So that is the function of fungus. And what algae is doing in turn, it is synthesizing food and giving to the fungus. So here this is the structure of the lichen. And next thing is related to the mycobiont, that is the fungus, and its functions you can see protects the algae, and number 2 absorbs water and mineral for the lichen, and second function is it absorbs water and mineral from the soil and it will be giving it to the algae so that algae can prepare the food through photosynthesis. Now, attaches the thallus to the substratum like rocks, bark of the tree, etc. And also the another function the mycobiont is doing is that it attaches the thallus. We know that what is thallus. This thallus will be attached to the substratum. Substratum is the place where the body is fixed. Is called substratum. Substratum is the place where the body of an organism is fixed. That is called substratum. So, the thallus is being fixed on a substratum or on a place, and the place may be rock or the bark of the tree, etc. So, my dear children, this is related to the lichen, and we know that the economic importance of lichen, it is number 1, it is a pollution indicator. Lichen are pollution indicators. We can say that lichen, they are the acid base indicator in the laboratory, as well as they are indicating the pollution. So, these are the economic importance of lichen. So, my dear children, by this I am going to wind this session, and this is the last part of your chapter 1. By this your chapter 1 is completing here. My dear children, if you are having any doubt or any questions or any part which you are not able to understand while going through the virtual class, you can call me and clarify it, and be always on the track by jotting the points related to the topics in your notebook, and you have to send the notes to me through WhatsApp so that I can go through it and I can clarify your doubts or the queries related to chapter 1. So, my dear children, we will be meeting in the next session with a new chapter. Till then, have a great day.